Okay, good.
Are we on?
We're good. It's all yours.
Yeah. Are we like really live right now? Looks
Yes,
like we
we
are. Hi,
are.
hi guys. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Welcome to the Albuquerque Folk Festival. Thanks for joining. I'm sure that you've heard, great music and had super much fun at the workshops and the jams. And it's really quite a thing this year to be doing it virtually. We thank the organizers. I am not very techy personally, and so I can't quite imagine putting this all together. We very much thank you, and thank you for inviting us and having us be a part of it. So, my name is Julie. I play currently, I'm one half of a duo called Hello Darlin. I play with my husband, who's a singer-songwriter. His name is Bernie. We're sort of new to Albuquerque. We've been here 7 months. We lived previously in Minneapolis, and I lived there for 17 years. And we had a great band there. It was called Bernie King and the Guilty Pleasures. It was a four-piece Americana band. In that band, I played percussion. So I played snare or washboard. My favorite instrument is the washboard, and I played a little accordion too. I don't know if you caught Hello Darlin a little bit earlier. We played for you guys. I don't know if you were part of that or not. But anyway, so this is a washboard workshop, like Washboard 101. I thought I would start with a little history. There's not tons of history on washboards, but around in the early 1800s, a washboard was used for washing clothes and your garments. They were all wooden, so like I have these metal like runners, if you will, right? That's what makes a sound. But back then, it wasn't used for that. It was used to wash garments. A washboard back then didn't survive for long because between the water and the rubbing of the garments, the life of a washboard was not very long. Then about I don't know, mid 1800s, more like 1833, gentleman by the name of Stephen Rust patented the first washboard that had metal corrugation runners. And many people preferred the washboard over the old-timey wringer washing machines. My mom had one. I remember we would reel it into the kitchen and, I don't know, hook it up to the faucet, I guess, and wash our clothes back in the 50s. But anyway, many people back, in the days did prefer a washboard because it was easier on the garments and it used less water. Some countries still, it's a prevalence in some countries, even today. Let me see, the Philippines actually widely use washboards today to launder their garments. Then in the past 20 to 25 years, washboards became they became a musical instrument, and you'd have to, of course, not have an old-timey wooden one, which you can't find anymore anyway. I think I read that in Kansas and Oklahoma, you may at an antique store find one of the old-timey ones. Be cool to hang it on your wall, right? But the washboards in use today for music purposes are all like this. Now, I have a couple that I use now. They're both kind of the same. They are brass. I like the sound of a brass washboard. I have had some that are, I don't know if they're I don't know what they are. They're silver instead of brass, like some galvanized steel, or I don't know what it is. I am not as crazy about the sound. I like a brass washboard. It's bright, and I just think that the brass ones sound really cool. So right now I have a couple. Now, if you were going to go, if you wanted to go and buy yourself a washboard and get going, there's different ones that you would find. So maybe you've seen a glass washboard, and I love glass washboards to hang on the wall. You can't play a glass washboard. There's nothing that you can hit up against the glass that you'll ever hear. And they're heavy as heck. But they are cool. I have one. I'm not totally unpacked yet from our trip here, or I would have them all out to show you. But they look, they're super pretty, but not for playing. I like a little lingerie washboard as well. They look just like these, but they're just little baby washboards that were in the day used to wash, lingerie, bras, panties, slips, stockings, I suppose, although you might run your stockings. But anyway, I've used them a lot when in the band that we had in Minneapolis. We were called Bernie King, my husband, and the Guilty Pleasures. So I did use my little lingerie washboard. It was so cute and so fun. But as not to be conceited or anything, but as I got better at it, I needed more plain surface, right? And the lingerie washboard just didn't give me what I needed. That said, though, a lingerie washboard would be a great introductory washboard, and it would also be really good for kids, any little kids that might want to get started. I would recommend just a sweet little lingerie washboard. Now, where do you buy a washboard? I lately have been buying them online. The first washboard I ever bought, I bought at an antique store. That has kind of a fun little story that I'll just share with you all. Bernie, my husband, was in his Minneapolis band before I joined the band. They had done a show up in Duluth, Minnesota, and he came home and blah, 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 had seen a band with this washboard player that was super good. He rubbed it, and I didn't know anything about a washboard. I didn't know what he was talking about. But anyway, he came home and was just, said that the guy was so good. So now fast forward, we were in Arkansas visiting family. We went to an antique mall, one of my favorite places. So many blasts from the past, right? So anyway, we walk in, and the lady was right there to greet me, and she said, can I find anything for you? I was like, nope, I'm just looking around. But if you had because Bernie mentioned a brass King washboard was what that guy played. I didn't know what it meant. I said, if you were to have a brass King washboard, maybe I'd be interested in that. So the place was huge, floors upon floors, and blasts from the past all over the place. And I was just in heaven, right? And she comes down and she says, this isn't the washboard, but she goes, look what I found for you. I found a brass King washboard. And I looked at it. Looked to be in good shape to me. I said, how much is it? She said $45. And I said, oh, perfect, that's mine. I'm buying that. So I was so excited to get back to the cabin that we were staying, where we were staying. And I come out of the bedroom and I go, look what I bought for you today, Bernie, a brass King washboard. And he's like, I'm not going to play that. I play guitar. And I was like, oh, okay. I thought you liked it. And he said, well, I do like it, but you're going to need to learn how to play it. So it was like, me? I don't even know what to do with a washboard. I've never heard a washboard player. Oh my God. So we went and bought thimbles. thimbles, which you can play. Sure, that will work to play a washboard, but we went and bought some thimbles, and we went out in the woods, and Bernie played guitar, and I just started, I didn't know, I had no idea what I was doing, but I started tapping it, and it was pretty fun. It was pretty fun. So anyway, where do you buy your washboard? You can get them at antique stores. Both of my little lingerie washboards, I just happened to walk into an antique store and found them. $10. They were $10. Usually you're going to spend, like this one, not this one. This one needs to be replaced. One of the ones that I bought on eBay, I spent, I think, $35 on it. But playing in the band, I actually added a microphone, a mic. So I'm wireless, right? I was wireless. I had my little, like a speaker, what do you call it? An amp. I had a little amp, and I was wireless, and I could walk out into the crowd and play, which I often did. I would go out and play and kind of dance around with people. So, you don't, and this would be more unusual. Most people there's no reason to do this really, but I did, and it was super fun. I don't know if you can see on this one, they break, right? The runners here. This one is broken, and I do need to replace it. You have to be careful because that's pretty sharp, and you can really cut yourself, depending on what you're using to play the washboard with. So let's see, where do you buy it? You can buy it at a secondhand store, an antique store, buy online. One thing that I would say, I had what was called a musical washboard. The musical washboards don't have wood on the back, and I don't like the sound. It's very pingy. This wood on the back absorbs some of the sound of the metal. So just a little tip, I would stay away from the musical washboards. Buy an old-timey, honest-to-goodness washboard if you want to start playing. So what do you play it with? What do you play the washboard with? What do you get this? What makes the sound? So since this is metal, I've got rings on it. I could do it just like that, but I don't want to bang up my rings that I love. But I do want to use something metal with it. So I have metal, what are these? They're not brushes. These are metal brushes that I use also when I play snare, especially with just Bernie, because the metal on a snare drum, of course, wouldn't be as loud as wooden sticks. But so it keeps a nice beat. What I don't like about these is if we're playing more of like a bluegrass song and I want to rip and go super fast and loud and stuff, you can't. It's a little harder to do that with these. Now, I buy on eBay these washboard gloves. They have bottle caps. They have bottle caps, and it is a tighter play for me. Tighter so that I can play faster. Now these are big. They're smalls. They don't come any smaller. I take them in with safety pins and stuff. It still is a little sloppy for me, depending on how fast I want to be playing. But it's a percussion instrument. Honestly, if you can keep a beat, you can play washboard. So I was watching the workshop prior to mine, and I didn't catch the man and the lady's name, but there's a lot involved, right, to playing a musical instrument. You got to know the key, you've got to be in tune, you got to know the chords, you got to know all this stuff. Washboard, you don't. You just need to keep that beat. And it's simple. Honest to God, anybody, I say anybody can play washboard, just go and get one. If you want to, I don't know, check your rhythm out maybe a little beforehand. I don't know, take a wooden spoon, take a pot, and just start, you know, doing some beats, playing out some beats and seeing what you got. But, you know, if you can tap your foot and if you can keep rhythm, you, my friend, can play washboard. Let me see. Hold on. I'm just going to look at a couple notes that I had here. Yeah, so I like to hang mine. And when I get a new washboard, this is a belt. This was just an old belt that I wasn't using as a belt. And Bernie always fixes me up here. He puts a little, oh, I don't know what that is, some sort of a, I don't know what it is, a nail or a screw or something. And with a belt, then you use the holes in the belt, right? And you just, he puts one on each side, and if you wanted to make it longer or shorter, you would just use the holes of the belt to do that. I like to hang it because I generally, I don't sit down when I play. I can't sit down when I play washboard. Are you kidding me? You know, I like to stand. It lets me move around a little bit, but there are other people who play their washboard. They kind of put it, you know, they kind of rest it, if you can see there. Rest it on one leg, right? Or you could put it on your lap. You can put it on your lap. I would say, I don't like that. It's not my technique. I don't like that. But if you were putting it on your lap with brushes, you know, you could do that. I think it's too hard. I don't like it. Part of what I like about my washboard is that it's close to me, right? I can like feel it, right? It's right up, it's tight against my body. Love it. There's that other instrument that I think a lot of people in New Orleans play called a fresnet? Frottoir. My husband has corrected me, a frottoir. And that you kind of hang over your shoulder, and there's no wood, and it's all metal, and it's all these corrugated, it's all corrugated. I've never played one. I can't speak to it. I don't know much about it. But the washboard is kind of a personal instrument to me. Yeah. And is my favorite instrument. Even playing in the band, I preferred it over the snare and over the accordion. So I thought, are there any questions right now?
Actually, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
You might have said this. I was kind of having to manage some of the meeting participants on the side there, but Julie, did you talk about how you mic the board when you're performing?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I did. But so you do need to. So this not this washboard, but my first washboard that I mic'd went from being like a $35 washboard to, you know, a $350 or $400 washboard because of the mic, the wireless mic that I added. So this right here is a box that holds batteries, 2 AA, I think it is batteries, and then here's the little microphone, and then I have a box that this like a wireless box. It's like my amplifier, or not my amp. It's my power, and you can see, you know, like there's some wiring on the back, and you know, Bernie drilled a hole to bring it through so that the mic could be there. And it really is, it's sweet if you want to walk around, be mobile. The first time I used it, we were playing a show in Minneapolis and we were on the stage, and I was so excited to see how well it worked. I walked right out, I got off stage, I walked right out the bar, through the door, I came around the building, came in the back door and back on stage, and my washboard was heard, and it's like I didn't skip a beat. It was it was funny and it was fun. But that's the deal with miking your washboard. Yeah.
That's awesome. And it's not a trip hazard either. All those wires on stage, it gets,
Oh, I know.
gets
And for
tangled up.
me, to play into a microphone, I don't stand still. You know what I mean? I like to move. I like to maybe even on stage move about and go and stand next to like a bass player and play with him or whatever. It's hard for me to just be stationary, just stand there and play. I like to move and groove, and you know, being mic'd up allows that. All right, so I was thinking that Bernie and I would just quick play a couple of songs, and I would a couple of measures, a few, just a little taste of it, and I would play using my gloves on one of the songs and play using my wire brushes so that you can hear the difference. Playing with just one person, the wire brushes work. And I don't overtake the guitar player. It's this is loud. This is a loud instrument, and you need to really tone it down if you're going to play with one other person so that you can both be heard. Harder to play with these depending on the song that you're playing. If you're playing a fast song, it's just not as quick. But I'd like to sort of let you all hear what that sounds like. Bernie, if you want to come over. Yeah. I don't know who might have heard us, if any of you, play a little earlier at 12:30. We are Hello Darlin, the two of us. Which were we going to start with?
We'll just start with I want to supplement a couple things that she said. When she walked outside at that show, she could hear us, or she could hear her, but when she went outside, we couldn't hear her. And then the other thing is maybe everybody can play a washboard. Not everybody can play a washboard well. There's still a trick to it. So, and she knows what she's doing. So.
Thank you. What are we playing first?
That was about.
Am I going to play with these? Yeah. Okay. Okay. I forgot this. When you play washboard, no matter what you're using to play with, part of washboard playing is getting that up the runners. It's not just about, well, it could be. I mean, sure, it's whatever. You can play it however you want to play it. But part of it is pulling it up. Hear that? You will pick out, one of your hands will be more of the beat keeper, the beat. So Brushes are okay. I prefer, honestly, what I called earlier a tighter play. The other thing I've also played with my lingerie washboard, though, would be metal guitar picks. They do work. They worked for me for a while until I became more proficient. And then I would eat through those guitar picks in like 4 songs, and they would be kind of shot. They'd be all out of shape and. But it is I feel a valid tool to start your washboard playing with. They go right on your fingers, put them on, I guess, the opposite way as if you were playing guitar. I don't know, any store I've ever gone in, when I would try them on, they would say, you have them on upside down. And I would say, no, I'm going to use them to play washboard. And they would be like, oh, okay then. So anyway, that gives a tight play. I mean tight. I mean, these move around a little bit because they're a little bit big for me, but those metal picks, guitar picks work well. So anyway, I'll play with these to give you an idea of the loudness, and you gotta be careful if you're playing just with one other person. Now I can play with just one finger, but if I play using all my fingers, you probably can't hear him very well. You could also play, somebody just rang the doorbell. Huh. You could also, I know that some people play with spoons. I honestly haven't tried that. It would need to be tiny. I don't get that, playing with spoons very well. But you could give it a try, Try it out and see what works for you. It's a great instrument, honestly. It's so fun. It's so... it gets me going. It just gets my blood going, and I get all pumped up and stuff when I play my washboard. Yep. Oh, was there
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think I just stepped on Steve's toes, but I'm not that heavy, so I think he'll be okay with it. So 2 questions.
Yep.
Depending on bass, mandolin, guitar, whatever, there's a whole ergo aspect to us as musicians, right? And I'm wondering, do you do any exercises, or are you maintaining your posture? Because it seems like it could bend you over while you're playing.
Yeah. I remember we used to play this show. Oh my goodness. It was like 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. or something. And honest to goodness, by midnight, that last set, I seriously was having I was in pain. Luckily there was a wall right behind me, and I just used to, just sort of like lean up against that wall a little bit to play. Well, I have back issues anyway, right? So I think stamina, like now with Bernie and I having moved here and COVID and stuff, we always played 3-hour shows, and we haven't done that. We've played few shows since we moved here, and then COVID hit. But it is stamina, I suppose, much like, playing a stringed instrument, you got to get the calluses built up, or you're going to have a hard time,
Yeah.
You just gotta do it, I think, and get used to doing it.
Hey, before we run out of time, would you remind us what CDs you guys have?
Yeah, so our CDs are as Bernie King and the Guilty Pleasures. So our band, you know, there's fun. You go to YouTube. But we were really good, honestly. Bernie, singer-songwriter. Our guitar, mandolin, and banjo player John Curtis was phenomenal, and we played with a stand-up bass player, and then I was on either snare or my washboard or a little bit of accordion. So we have them on. So we have a few of them to sell, I think, but they're on CD Baby. It's that platform, CD Baby. Is that all, Bernie? And our music is played on Spotify. But you know what we were is not what we are yet, at least now. And it's really been it's a transition to go from playing in a 4-piece band to just the two of us. I mean, probably way more so for Bernie than for me. But yeah. So we hope when COVID goes away, if it ever goes away, if in our new worlds, we hope to start playing again. We played at High and Dry Brewery and at Thirsty Eye, and we were due to play at Molly's in Tijeras next week, but everything's canceled. So.
Well, I hope to jam with you in Mike Zulo's living room.
Yes, I would love to.
I have a question about the bottle caps on the gloves.
Yeah. Yes.
I use the picks, and I use a whisk.
Yeah.
I use other kind of whisk, but how are the bottle caps attached to the gloves?
So these gloves, if you were to take your finger and feel up inside here, inside each finger there is like a disc that I've been told you can get at Lowe's or anywhere. They are the size the circumference, I guess, or diameter of a bottle cap. They stick that up. They would stick it up inside there, and then they would take the bottle cap and use some sort of a vice grip to, you'd have to put this on top. I've done this before. You have to put this on top of like a thin bottle neck. And then I've got this vice grip that you like, and it sort of fits around the disc, the little disc that's inside the finger of each of these fingers.
Bend the bottle cap around it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you could just get these on eBay through Clanky Dog. Clanky, there's only one company that sells. I don't know if you can see that, Clanky Dog. And the last time that I went to order from the company, they were out. I went to eBay, they had full stock. So they're like $30 a pair.
Okay. Wow.
You can make your own. I mean, you could make your own. I haven't.
Have you ever been to the Washboard Festival in Ohio?
I have not. Didn't know there was one.
This year, but I think it's Father's Day weekend in.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, I have family outside of Cincinnati, or in Cincinnati and Cleveland area.
Yes, I think it's a little the southeast sort of.
Oh, maybe next year. I have to look into that. Thanks. That's a good tip.
Okay, thank you, Julie. It's time to move on.
Thanks.
You don't
Fun.
mind. Okay, thank you
Fun
so much.
times.
Great job,
Thank
you guys.
Thanks.
A lot of
Bye-bye.
fun.
Bye.